Welcome. Let's have some fun with our feelings today. Yay. And the reason why we do this, why we come together and we really look at ways that we can boost emotional intelligence for our children is because it's one of the most important foundational gifts we can easily give to our children if we play our cards right, if we take the steps that they need us to take to be able to empower them and really get them in a place where they can articulate how they're feeling. They can tune in and have some self-awareness of what they need when they have these feelings. And I know that many of you have this experience where you ask your child, how do you feel? And you hear something like, I'm fine. Or they go nonverbal, they don't even say how they feel. Or maybe it comes out in a story, but they're not really making sense of it. And they don't quite yet have the vocabulary. This month, we're going to be talking a lot about navigating big emotions. We have a webinar coming up in May. We have a big 6-part series in the beginning of June. And to ramp us up, I want all of us to be considering bringing in a feelings chart that really helps our kids to navigate their emotions. And if nothing else, it's a prompt to even ask the question, how do I feel? How do you feel? A quick story. So there's an 8-year-old in my household, but when she was about 6.5, we introduced a feelings chart to her and we put it up in her bathroom on her mirror. And this is one of the hacks we're going to talk about today, about just sort of having these reference materials in the environment. And recently I got another chart that had a different set of emotions and different pictures. And immediately, like this, she looked at the new one. She goes, oh, this one has 3 that the other one doesn't. And she was able to name what they were immediately. What that meant to me is that she had internalized over 20 emotions and the names of those emotions so much that she could, in a second, at a glance, notice that there were 3 different ones on this other chart. To me, that was part of like mission accomplished, right? Of like, we have increased her emotional vocabulary to the point where she could actually remember and distinguish between these 2 different feelings chart at a glance. I actually had to take a little more time to notice what was different between the 2 charts. She was quicker, and that's the gift of being a child, is your mind is so open and so plastic, and you're able to take so much in. So if you're listening to this on the Raising Our Resilience page, the one that has the hands up and it has the picture of our logo, right, our brand, you're going to need to jump over to the parent group to watch the rest of this training. In there, we're going to go over 10 ways to boost emotional intelligence with a feelings chart, and really bring it in a really fun and engaging way that also really deepens your child's self-awareness and ability to self-manage. So please make sure that if you are just listening on the Raising Our Resilience business page, that you hop over to the group. The link is in this post. So go ahead and tap it and click it and request to join, and the recording will be up for at least another week or 2. So you'll be able to catch it. All right, so we'll see you there. Sorry, just a sec. All right, so now we're back. We're in the group, we're in the Zoom room, we're here together to go over the 10 ways to boost emotional intelligence with a feelings chart. So you should be able to see the presentation. I'll be rolling through these tips, and feel free to pause and take notes at any time if you're watching the recording. And please let me know in the chat and the comments, like, which of these are you trying? Which ones are you excited to try? Which one do you think each of your children will be really into? I'll be asking for your participation along the way. So please do comment, okay? It really makes it much more engaging. And you're much more likely to get more out of this training, okay? Yeah, and invite your friends, bring them into the group, share this with them, because it's something that's like a low hanging fruit where we can really get some parenting wins. All right, so here we go. So stress, power struggles, and meltdowns. Oh my, parents and caregivers and their kids are experiencing many different strong and mixed emotions these days, especially as we're trying to transition from really being pretty deep in a mental health crisis with a lot of isolation, a lot of depression and anxiety that has been showing up in children. The therapists can't keep up with it. I don't know how many of you have experienced this in your community, where there are folks looking for mental health services and they're booked out for months. There's a reason for this. We've been really having a challenging time coping with how different life has been and continues to be as we're navigating a global pandemic. So let's just have a fun way to start today, as we'll also be addressing these deeper pieces that really need our attention. Let's just start with boosting some EQ, right? Getting that emotional intelligence and maybe some resilience as well. And here's an example of a feelings chart that I really like from Wholehearted Counseling. I found these charts on Teachers Pay Teachers. And I actually bought licenses so that I could share them with all of my clients. And this is something that we all are using as a reference point with our children ages, between 3 to 12. And then we have some more sophisticated ones for kids, 10 and up. But sometimes the 10, 11, and 12-year-olds still really like this one. So whatever your feelings chart is that you like to use, grab it, have it in mind. If you haven't printed one out yet, go ahead and do it. Don't feel like it's too cheesy or it's too on the nose. Like, this is actually something really helpful. Just like we would label we have titles on our cereal, so we know it's in the box. We take for granted that feelings are something we'll just have the vocabulary for, but it's just not true. We need actually some help and instruction on making sense of this experience of emotion. So the first thing that I want you to do as you're, using this feeling chart is consider having it nearby wherever you read to your children, and read a book together and just stop and ask and look for the inside story. Like, what do we think this character is feeling right now? And when you look at the chart, just kind of have a fun challenge maybe of trying to find at least one, or maybe two, or maybe three. You can increase the difficulty of the challenge. And see if you can find at least 3 possible feelings the character is experiencing, or whatever number you pick to challenge yourself with. And if you want to go a bit deeper, you would ask your child something like, would you feel the same way in this situation? And why or why not? So that's number 1, looking for the inside story. And as we're going, if there's one that you like, just drop the number into the chat, into the comments. So you put like 1, right? Like 1, I like this one. Let's put number 1. Okay. Number 2. Listen to music and notice how it makes you feel. Yeah. So you've probably noticed before how music can put you in a different mood. So you can grab your feelings chart and turn on some tunes and just name the emotions that come up as you listen. They've actually done studies where, people will listen to sad music and then be told a sad story. And the rate of, or the intensity of sadness that they feel hearing the story after they've listened to some sad music is increased. And so we actually do sort of prime the pump of our minds with these preconditions, and listening to music is a reliable way to actually shift your mood. And that's part of why music is such an engaging art form that we, really can enjoy. But it's also something that kids are still exploring. Like, they're trying to figure out what genres do they like, what artists do they like, what is this song really about, or how does it make me feel? Like, I've seen kids, driving them on field trips as a teacher, or my own stepchildren. I can see them like really have a mood shift when they listen to music. I've seen a kid just at 6 years old just sing so soulfully along to a song that they barely understand the lyrics, but they can feel something, right? And if you want to go deeper with it, you can ask, like, what do you think it is about the song that sets the mood? Is it the tempo? Is it the lyrics? Is it the way that the person is singing it? And what kind of music do you like to listen to when you're feeling sad or happy or angry or scared? This really helps them to get a sense of, I have emotions, and there are certain elements in my environment that can actually kind of generate some feelings. And also, when I have feelings, I might go and listen to some music that either helps me really feel that deeply, or maybe shift my mood. And that's a great way to increase emotional intelligence with that self-awareness and self-regulation that comes with that. Okay, so if you really like this one, you might put the number 2 into the chat so that people can have an opportunity to see what other people are liking. All right, let's look at number 3. This way. Okay. So here's one where you can pick one feeling at random and think about a time when you felt this emotion. This is more of like a discussion or a reflection exercise. It can absolutely be done in journaling by writing it out. And you could even do this where each of you picks an emotion and takes time, and you just take 5 minutes and just write everything you can about it. If your child is not yet writing, then you can just ask them to think about it and see if they can tell a little story of what happened. When you do that, it's a chance for you to, start actually having conversations with each other and with yourself, more importantly, about how do I feel in certain different situations? Or what feeling does this remind me of? What kind of situation have I been in that's similar to this that helps me maybe make sense of why this feeling is coming up. As we get older and we actually need to revisit like childhood experiences and trauma to understand how we emotionally map things, this can be a really powerful healing exercise. Like, oh, the reason I get scared every time this happens is because when I was a child, I had this experience that was really scary. And now I associate these things together. And that can be incredibly liberating to make sense of strong emotions that might otherwise be kind of ruling your, your life. And then if you want to go deeper, you can actually start a feelings journal. So you do this more often, where you just ask the question, what happened and how did I feel today? And you just start to write down the events and the before, during, and afterwards of how you felt. And just notice over time how your emotion changes. They even have these like mood trackers for those of you who are into trackers or bullet journaling, right? You can create a spread where you can kind of like code your mood across a month and really see what the trends are, and noticing like, wow, it really makes a difference. For example, when I spend time with this friend, my mood really goes up. But when I spend time with that friend, my mood goes down. These are the kinds of things that we want our kids to have some awareness around so they can make different choices. Because it turns out that, about 40% of our happiness is up to us. It's based on our choices. And doing things like, oh, instead of sitting at home and ruminating about a problem, you went out and got some exercise. Wow, my mood was so much better. That sort of awareness is such a great life hack, right? How to manage the ups and downs of life and create that resilience, especially with such uncertain times that we're in and we have just been through. And noticing like how the emotion changed the way you behaved or communicated with others. Did you do anything to soothe yourself or shift your feelings? Just really getting a sense of your own coping strategies and what might be best going forward in terms of self-care and proactive strategies. Number 4, you can play bingo, right? So make enough extra copies of the mood charts for every family member to have one. And then what you do is you cut up your card maybe in strips or into squares, and then you rearrange them and glue them in a different formation on another piece of paper, which just in itself can be a fun craft if you have crafty kids. And then you can also add a little free space in the middle if you want to go classic and just pop one of those emotions off of your card. You can also make smaller cards with more limited number of the emotions. And then you cut up an extra copy into the cards that you're going to like draw out of a little bag or out of a box or something to then play bingo with. And it can be a lot of fun. So far we have looking for the inside story when you're reading, listening to music and noticing how it makes you feel, picking one feeling at random and writing about how a time you felt that emotion and start that feelings journal, or playing some bingo. Now, number 5 is one that a lot of us already think about. It's just posting it up, right? Just posting it up. But I actually like this idea of like adding in, and I've seen a couple of my clients do this that really worked well for them, is adding in some colorful magnets that like each family member has a different color, and they can be small or large. It's up to you. They can be see-through. I've seen some transparent ones. Those are really fun. And you just stick them on to the emotion that you're feeling. And it's just a quick activity, right? You just go, I'm feeling this, this, and this. And then you can either hang out with it and really think about it, talk about it, or you can just walk away. Another thing that you can do is when you want to solve a conflict, like for yourself, between you and your child, between 2 children, etc. You can encourage the people who are in that conflict to take a moment in front of the feelings chart first and really come up with an I statement of like how you're feeling and when, like what's happening. Like, for example, I feel embarrassed when I forget to, flush the toilet, because then everybody sees my poop, and I would really appreciate it. And then you can have an ask, right? I'd really appreciate it if I forget, if you could just be a little bit more kind about it. Maybe just come and whisper to me like, hey, you need to flush. That is we just solved something that could have been a big conflict. It could have been like, how come you're always trying to embarrass me, like all these things, just from reframing it as an I statement. And so it's like a share. And then maybe there's also an ask. That's something we do in our conflict resolution modules in the year-long immersion that kids really benefit from. Yeah. Okay, so that's another one. You can post it up. So maybe that's yours, and you'll put a 5 in the comments right now because you're like, that one, that's the one I want to try. Another is to play charades, right? Like practice acting out the emotions from each row in the chart. So that way it's easier to guess because a lot of them look similar if you don't use words. Or you can even do charades with words, right? And you kind of come up with a scenario and you just have like a minute to 45 seconds to guess if you have time, if you want to have a timer, a time element, and that can be really fun. It's so good to have Danny here. Welcome on Zoom. So glad you're here. As we're going, as I'm sharing these 10 tools, just drop into the comments or the chat if you could, like which one looks fun, like you might want to try. Okay. Right, because we're raising our children's emotional intelligence using these feelings chart, and such a powerful and fun way to really help everybody be more resilient. And you can also go deeper with this one, right? Instead of just guessing which emotion you're acting out, which can be so much fun because you could be like, you know, like if you're embarrassed, you might kind of look down and look away and kind of like, you know, their cheeks are kind of blushed like, oh, or it could be that you could also do like surprise, like surprise, right? And the kids will start to have fun with acting it out and guessing it. But you can also role play some realistic scenarios and notice the body language that goes with each emotion within a scene. And so you can have them like create a completely imaginative scene. You know, sometimes charades is like, it can be like you dropped your ice cream cone and there's no more ice cream left, you know, and then you have them act that out. And then you talk about the emotions and then you try to guess like what was the scene, right? So that's more, that can be really fun for kids who are into drama, who already know charades really well, or older children. I've had success with young kids with this, you know, as young as like 5. But I think this gives a little extra element to some of the older kids who might not just want to, you know, play act the emotion. They want to do something more interesting. And then we can ask, you know, how does our body give us clues about how we're feeling? And again, those theater oriented kids are going to love like thinking through like how would that improve my acting? And those kids who like are really interested in how to you know, make friends and solve conflicts, like this is also a great skill. Okay, so that's number 6. Number 7 is for you. So you take a snapshot of your feelings chart, whatever one you're using in your family, and save it so you can refer to it on the fly. This is just one of those like fun tips, like do this and you'll be so happy you did. So besides having a printed copy in several places in the house, just having it with you on the fly for that road trip, for the car ride, when you have to pull over the car because the kids are being too loud and crazy, you just know you got to settle them down. You can take a moment and actually look at the feelings chart for yourself and be like, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, and a little disappointed right now. Okay, and I could probably share that now with the kids. Hey guys, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, frustrated, disappointed because what I was hoping to have a fun adventure is now turning into something that's not exactly, you know, working out. What can we all do next to improve this? I will start the car again once we each come up with an idea, right? You can do that. You can do that, but having the chart there is helpful until you get into such a rhythm with these feelings words that you just know them. Another thing that I do with kids is I just have them take a moment and look at it when they're really upset, and like no words, right? Just look at it. And I even sometimes say, just point to the one that you think you're feeling right now. With really young kids, that can be really helpful, especially even if they can't read the words, they can see the faces and they can feel what those feelings are. And sometimes that's all you're going to get in that moment. So really great to have a snapshot of your feelings chart and have it with you. You could make a phone screensaver. You can put it in a photo album with other caregivers called Parenting, along with all the other resources that you find. This has been incredibly helpful for all my clients because I give them all of these great graphics and things that are quick reference sheets, right? Quick scripts and quick things that they can show their kids or they can look at together. And it's so good to have one place for all of that, or like in a notes app or some other place that you can access easily. Okay. So far, 1 through 7, we have looking for the inside story, the emotions of the characters as you read books together. Listen to music and notice how it makes you feel. Picking a feeling at random and think about a time when you felt this emotion and write it down or discuss it. Play bingo. You make your own cards out of your feelings chart that you get, so they get really familiar with it. So it's a quick reference when they're upset. Same with posting it up on the fridge. It's something they're going to see over and over and over again with some magnets or some other surface, right? And then really practice those I statements. You can play charades, like we talked about. acting out just the emotion or a whole scene and figuring out how the characters are feeling in it, and taking a snapshot and having it with you on the fly. So that's 1 through 7. Again, if you see something you really liked, or if you don't remember the number, that's fine, but just put something in the chat or comments. It's going to help you so that you're more likely to actually do it and actually follow through and use this as a useful tool. Okay. So 8, 9, and 10, here we go. You can make up new ways to sing a song. This is one of to me, this is hilarious. And I have so much fun with this one. So you take a song you already know and change it up like a cover, as if you were like, let's say you were an emo singer and you take a punk song and you turn it into an emo song, or vice versa, right? Like you can really change it up, slow rock into blues, yeah, or ska, right, into reggae. You just just have fun with the genres potentially. But if you're not a music connoisseur, all you really do is you just change the mood behind it, right? So you can take like what's supposed to be like sort of this happy song and turn it into something that's really sad, or take something that's really dramatic and like make it really like fun. So just pick a song and just play with it, have fun with it. I think the kids can relate to a happy song becoming sad or a happy song becoming angry, and they think it's really funny. But then you can go the other way around too, and that can be a good time. And then you just ask things like, in what kinds of situations do people tend to experience the emotion? And how can we add that to our lyrics where you could actually change a word in the song? They start to get a little deeper sense of like how we actually communicate and experience our emotions when you play with these songs. Okay. Now this is one that I mentioned at the very beginning. Yes, Danny, I'll review it all 10 at the end. So you can really just make sure you grab it. And there will also be a recording on the YouTube channel and also in the Facebook group for parents, which if you're not already a part of, I highly recommend. I think you are though, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so hopefully that's helpful. All right, so we pick it up or put it up on the mirror in the bathroom. So at the very beginning, I told a story about how the now 8-year-old in my household, we put up a chart since 6.5, and she's had it there and she's looked at it and she's looked at it. And now she's got this really strong vocabulary around her emotions and can, recognize immediately on the chart, like, oh, this new chart has 3 emotions that the old chart doesn't have at a glance. That just tells you that it's coming in. But why on a mirror? Especially those feelings charts with faces, because then they get to look at the faces and make the faces, or like look at their face and be curious of which one am I feeling right now, and look at the chart and go, maybe it's angry and disappointed, really smart, really fun, really low effort way to start boosting their emotional literacy. Now, if you want to go deeper with this, there's some science behind wearing an expression and then feeling differently after you wear the expression. Similarly, how music, like sad music, can actually evoke sadness, happy music can actually lift your mood. And then the next thing you experience, you tend to bias towards that emotion. Well, if you hold an expression for at least 30 seconds, studies show that it actually does shift your brain activity, and sometimes even releases different hormones and chemicals, neurochemicals into your brain that literally physically shifts your mood. So they did this study where you hold a pencil either like this. I'll show you. I got to get off of the share for a second to show you this properly, okay? Because it's pretty fun. You'll want to see this. Let's see what's going on with Zoom. Oh, it's not giving me the menu to be able to actually pop off of share right now. Interesting. Okay. So I'm not able to. I'll just stay in this little square. So if you pucker your lips and you hold your pencil between your nose and your upper lip like this, what kind of face is that? Can you see? Happy or sad? Let's just put it in that, right? Kind of sad, right? Frowning, something like sad or angry. And then they did another one, another group that put their pencil in their teeth like this. What expression do you see on my face right now? Happy, sad, or angry, right? Like probably happy. Face is in kind of smile shape. And they had them hold that for 30 seconds, for different intervals of time. And they said by 30 seconds of holding that shape, that face, their mood actually shifted neurochemically, right? So like in terms of brain activity. So what a person could do, and what I've had some of my clients do with their kids, is actually play a game where they hold the expression for 30 seconds and just try 2 or 3 of them that are very different. and just notice if your mood shifts, like do your own little science experiment, or you can do the pencil one, you know, and notice like if afterward something changes in even like how you're breathing, your heart rate, your other body, you know, body expression and posture, what shifts, if anything. There's also the reason why laugh tracks really work in comedies, and like why, like during the pandemic, there were some late night talk show hosts, I think it was Trevor Noah especially, who was doing it from his room, you know, it was, excuse me, he's broadcasting from his room, and there were no laugh tracks. And it was noteworthy, like it was notable that he didn't seem as funny, right? Because you don't hear that sound of like laughter, and then you laugh, and then you hear another joke, then you laugh more because you're already here and your smile and then your mood is lifted and you find you're in that kind of open to humor kind of space. So yeah, we could talk to your children about the science behind that, and why sometimes you can actually just go ahead and choose a different mood. You really can. You can choose, like, you know what, I'm so sad right now, but I'm just going to dry my tears and take a moment to, like, you know, find something to smile about, like read something funny, or like go to the face and make some silly faces at myself. There's all these different strategies, but just knowing that it's a real thing, that you can change your facial expression and actually shift your mood is powerful. So this one I think is particularly fun. Just stick it on the mirror and then also play with that 30-second game. All right. And lastly, we've already talked a little bit about the I statement, but really making it a thing, you know, even and especially when you aren't upset. Oftentimes we save these I statements for when we're already upset and we only use it in conflict resolution. Well, guess what? You've missed, like, you know, a whole constellation of other kinds of emotions that we feel all day long that aren't a problem that needs to be solved, where we can start to really practice the I feel statement, right? So I feel curious right now. I can't wait when we're about to go into the museum, because I have no idea what's going to be inside, and these can be so fun. Like expressing the whole range of emotions is really, really important, and we tend to focus on the negative ones, or the ones that require coping. But we can do so much more. So if you can just do 2 to 3 statements a day consistently, you'll see what I mean. Like kids actually start to really follow our role modeling around this, and they'll get the sentence structure of like, I feel blank when blank because blank. They'll get it. I did it with students and I saw a difference within a month, like just a wildly different kind of conversation that the kids were having when myself and my co-teacher committed to using I statements as much as possible, in not just for the negative or difficult, you know, coping type of situations, but the whole range. So really important to check that out. Okay. So what I want you to know is that there are 10 ways that you can use a feelings chart. You want to check out finding a chart that, this is for Danny since she didn't see this yet, and for anyone else who would like a recap, find one that just really like speaks to you and you know, matches what you think your kids would be drawn to. I really like this one again, from Wholehearted Counseling on Teachers Pay Teachers. Really affordable if you can print it out yourself. And then we're going to do 1, 2, or 3 of 10 things. Okay. So Danny, as you're listening, just drop a number in, and anyone else who's listening to this as a recording or live on Facebook, go ahead and just drop in the numbers of the ones that you want to try. So while you're reading, look for that inside story. How are the characters feeling? Number 1. Number 2, listen to music and notice how it makes you feel. Number 3, pick one feeling at random and think about a time when you felt this emotion. And you can go ahead and write it down or discuss it. Number 4, play bingo and make your own cards out of the feelings chart. So you keep really using something familiar. Post your chart up on the fridge or somewhere with some colorful magnets so you can move them onto it as you feel different things, and you have different colors for different family members. Play charades where you act out emotions and try to guess, like from each row. That's a great way to get to know the chart, by the way. Take a snapshot of it, shot of it, so you have it with you on the fly, and like refer to it when you're out. Really show the kids that it's something that you value and that you use, and they will too. Make up new ways to sing a song you already know, but it has a different mood. So much fun, so creative. Put it up on the mirror in the bathroom, and then like try out those expressions, right? Even the 30-second game. And then last but not least, use I statements as much as possible, as much as possible. Okay. So you got this, friends. You've totally got this. And we are going to have a really exciting masterclass all about navigating big emotions like meltdowns, tantrums, and power struggles. It's coming up. It's going to be on May 23rd. Monday, May 23rd. So you can just save the date for now and look out for an invitation. We'll be sending out, of course, invitations to that through our newsletter, posting about it in the Facebook group. So if you're in the community, however you found this training, that's how you're going to hear about this webinar coming up. And more importantly, though, we have even sooner, if you have young children in your life, you're going to want to consider coming to our Jovial event, our event with Jovial. It's coming up. It's called 3 Essential Ways to Boost Emotional Intelligence in Young Kids. It's a donation based event, so like $1 or more, whatever you feel like you'd like to invest in it. And we're going to get together with, there's like all these preschools that are connected to Jovial, about 700 of them. So if you have preschool age or early childhood or lower elementary, it's all applicable. And we're going to talk about 3 essential ways to boost emotional intelligence in young kids. It's going to be a great event. I'm super excited about. And you can go ahead and register with the link that I just dropped into the chat or the comments in the Facebook group. And then it should also be available however you found this video on the YouTube channel and or on the newsletter. And why do we want to boost emotional intelligence in young kids? Well, because we realize like how important it is to be able to be resilient in the world, to have a grasp on our own emotions, don't we? We really do. And so just be keeping your eye out for opportunities to continue doing this work with your own inner game and then your outer game with your children, so they can do their inner game and their outer game around emotional intelligence. And I see Danny says so many that she likes of it, 5, 8, 9, and 10. So for you, it's this I statement. It's the put it up in the mirror in the bathroom, making up new songs with a different kind of mood, and posting it up on the fridge with colorful magnets. Janie, solid plan. It's going to be great. Yeah. And we'd love for you to come back and let us know how that all goes. Well, all right. So that wraps us up for having fun with feelings. My name is Vanessa Callahan, and I am so excited for each of you to have these tools in your hands. And hopefully one, 2, or 3, or maybe 4, like Danny picked, of these strategies will be helpful in really boosting emotional intelligence in your family. And with that, we're going to go ahead and close the meeting. So good to have you here. And we have these series Mondays at noon where you can tune in and really get some support with different kinds of resilience tools. Oh, good. I found the way to do it. Here we go. I'm back now in the big square in just a moment. So yeah, so good to be here with you all. Such an honor, and happy to continue supporting you. And yeah, we do have a cohort opening up in July for folks who would like to spend a year with other parents and with myself and my great coaches, really building resilience tools in their toolboxes. So if you or someone you know could really benefit from some really solid parenting resources and a sense of community in this time of quite a bit of isolation, send them our way. Invite them into the Facebook group, share one of our newsletters, just let them know that this opportunity is available to them. And if it's the right time, they might even decide to hop in to our immersion. We already have 5 amazing families in the next cohort, and we have room for 10 more. So I think it's going to fill up pretty fast. So if you think there's someone who like really could use the help right now, invite them to the Facebook group, share this upcoming event with them, forward a newsletter, and just be generous with your people. They'll appreciate it and really feel heard, seen, and loved. All right, y'all, enjoy these tips. Have a good time with your feelings charts, and we'll see you next time. Lots of love. Bye for now. Bye, Danny. Oh, you're welcome. See you next time.